This video was made possible by EA Game Changers. Hello there everybody, it is me XfreezerBunny and welcome back to another Sims 4 speed build. So first of all, happy September to all of you. I'm recording this on the 2nd, so happy birthday to The Sims 4 and congrats on being the most improved Sims games. I feel like I have to say something nice because it's The Sims 4's birthday, but today I'm really excited to showcase the brand new kit, Industrial Loft, for The Sims 4, and I promise we're not starting off with the new items just yet because this first part I actually made months ago. So this build does heavily feature this spiral staircase that I built in January or February earlier this year. I just really didn't have time to finish a build with this staircase, so I figured now that we've got Industrial Loft, I feel like this would have been so perfect for that, and that's why we are starting off this build with this footage that I have from literally months ago. I promise we'll get to Industrial Loft in just a second, but I did want to show you guys how I made these staircases. And yeah, I just really wanted to play around with a tool mod. Also, disclaimer, I am a lot more used to the controls of the tool mod now, so if you see some things that I'm doing here that are really tedious that I could have done another way with other commands in the mod, I know that now. I wasn't aware of that way back when I did this, so just please keep that in mind before you comment. But yeah, this is basically the spiral staircase that I built. Basically, I wanted to do it in a more kind of, I guess, mathematical way, because you know this thing where when you see something, you kind of just know something's off about it. I feel like I wanted to not have that with the staircase. That's why I didn't want to just eyeball all of the measurements. I wanted everything to be, you know, properly measured and properly incremented, if that's a thing, so that it would look right. So yeah, I do have experience working with staircases, and trust me, they are very, very complicated. IRL, we do have measurements in place for staircases, you know, the treads and, you know, all of the railings have their own standard measurements, so it's pretty straightforward, but they're still really, really complicated in my opinion, unless they're like just a straight staircase and then they're fine. But yeah, sometimes, you know, clients just really want really elaborate staircases. It's a pretty common thing. But yeah, I'm really happy with how this spiral staircase came out. It took me a good 2 or 3 hours to make it, but yeah, really happy with how it all came together. As you can see, I'm trying multiple times to just get everything right here. And you know what's great about the tool mod is that you can input really precise measurements, which is actually something that I'm more used to, having work experience in, you know, architecture professionally. It's almost what we do on a daily basis. We don't really eyeball measurements. Everything has to be precise to the millimeter. And my college professor would cringe every time he would eyeball certain measurements. It's a big no-no in the profession. So really happy that I was able to, you know, take use of that experience to make this spiral staircase. I am planning to upload it on the gallery at some point. There are 2 versions of the staircase. There's one for the shortest wall height and another one for the medium wall height, so you will have the option of those. And yeah, feel free to use them in your builds, and if you do, please feel free to tag me on my social media. I would love to see what you do with it. But yeah, overall I'm really happy with how this came together in the end. I have heard some gossip about, potentially getting spiral staircases in the future. And this is where we finally start to get into the actual build of the industrial loft. But yeah, if you're like me and you've been lurking around Twitter or the community for the past couple of weeks, you probably heard through the grapevine that, I don't know, maybe we're gonna get spiral staircases in the future. Again, this is one of those, unfounded gossips that we constantly hear in the community, and most of the time they're kind of just that, gossip, but sometimes they do turn into reality. So I feel like we are probably gonna get spiral staircases eventually. Who knows? At this point, this is literally the best I can come up with, and I'm really happy with how I was able to incorporate it into showcasing this pack. Now, just to give you an idea, this is a fully functional loft, so it's weird because I did have to build 2 staircases for this loft. There's kind of like one hidden one where I used a ladder. It's meant to look like a closet, and then there's a ladder inside of it so that your Sims can still get onto the upper part of this loft, because it is a loft, and a lot of people forget that lofts are actually supposed to, have an upper part that people can occupy, because yeah, that's a thing. That's kind of like where the terminology of lofts come from. But yeah, basically I just went for this obviously industrial vibe, very New York inspired, I would say, and the perfect place to build that is in San Myshuno, which I feel like it's been a while since I've done a San Myshuno build, and also a more industrial build as well, even though I have done so many builds like these in the past. But yeah, it's really interesting to see that we're finally getting some industrial loft kits. And speaking of kits, I will say I didn't see this one coming. I probably personally would have liked to seen some other style that didn't exist in the game, because I think my favorite kit, and probably the most successful one in my opinion, would be Courtyard Oasis, because that one gave us a completely new style that we haven't seen before in game. It was well-rounded, really well thought out, and I would like to see more of that, and maybe have different styles from around the world. But as someone who really likes industrial loft builds, and I've done quite a few, maybe 3 or 4 ones in the past couple of years, I really do love these because I just love the aesthetic. I really do. Yeah, here you can see me just basically change the color. I don't know why, just seeing that is so satisfying. Also, some of the footage earlier of me just, using the tool mod to actually construct the spiral staircase. I don't know why, but it's just so satisfying to see. But yeah, in other news, actually, it's been an eventful week for the community, it seems like. But yeah, EA announced that they were retroactively updating Spa Day for some reason. Was it confirmed that they were updating Spa Day? I'm not sure if it was Spa Day particularly, but they did say that they were updating past packs, which is honestly kind of weird. It was kind of a weird announcement, especially because it came out of nowhere, but I'm really interested because I feel like a lot of the past packs could have been more fleshed out. I'm looking at you, mermaids from Island Living, but I just really find it weird how Spa Day was the one they chose to update first. I don't know what kind of features they would add or fix or whatever, but I do like Spa Day. I think I like it more for building more so than the gameplay, even though I do like the wellness gameplay that it introduces. So it's a pretty good pack. But I think if I were you, I would probably just get Spa Day for the build items because it probably has the best toilet set, and also wallpapers as well from Spa Day are amazing, and floors as well. But anyway, as for Industrial Loft, I do say that I do like quite a few items from this pack. I love the new doors and windows. Of course, you already know what I'm gonna complain about, and that is I just wish we got more of them. We got one door, which is basically an archway. It's beautiful. Would have liked to have seen it in other variations. And also, I love the arched window, but we only got one, which kind of like made me go WTF, because come on, like, how hard would it be to give us just a simple version of that arch window? It would have made this pack way more versatile. I'm convinced that they have some sort of arbitrary limit to what they can package with the pack. I think it's probably a size limitation for what they can, you know, sell, or like, I don't know what actually, maybe an item limit, I really don't know. But just having more of the build items would have made this pack so much better. Having said that, hands down, my favorite items from this pack would have to be the ducts. Now, these ducts or vents are probably one of my favorite items ever, and I feel like those alone for me kind of justifies the asking price for this pack. It's not that expensive. I would pay that much just to have these ducts because I've always wanted them, and I've always wanted to have them in my industrial builds, and now we finally have them. And I'm gonna be using them later on in this kitchen area actually. So yeah, I just really love that aesthetic. I love that industrial vibe, and as someone who likes to kind of like deconstruct their architecture and kind of exposes a lot of the structural pieces and the functional pieces as decorative elements, I just love the ducts so much, and they did it so well in this pack as well. So I'm really excited about that. Other than industrial loft, obviously I used a lot of Moschino in this pack as well, which in my opinion is probably one of the better stuff packs. Moschino has a lot of great build items, and I think the gameplay edition is also a really nice addition as well if you're into photography. And surprisingly, probably the weakest part of Moschino in my opinion would be the creative sim, which is surprising because Moschino is, you know, a designer pack, and I feel like that should have been the strong point, but you know, I'm a builder, I don't really care that much about CAS. I just love the build items from Moschino, and I am an advocate for it, so leave me alone. Yeah, I really enjoy it, so I did use quite a lot of it in this pack as well. Surprisingly, the irony is that in The Sims 3, I really wasn't a fan of the industrial aesthetic. So I remember I had all of the packs for The Sims 3. Rip my savings. I was a college student when The Sims 3 came out, so I literally had no money. But whatever, I still saved up as much as I can to buy all of the packs and also some of the store sets. But surprisingly, out of all of the packs in The Sims 3, I only didn't buy 2 packs, and one of those was Diesel, which is really surprising because I would say that in The Sims 4 that's kind of like more of my aesthetic, you know, more kind of industrial, modern, urban. But yeah, that's one of the packs that I didn't get from The Sims 3, so it's really weird. Also, speaking of that, I have been working on a stop motion build. It's not a new build, it's a stop motion version of an older build that I put out last month. I only put out like 2 builds last month, so you can probably guess which one it is. But yeah, I'm trying to experiment with stop motion because I've seen people request it from some of my comments. So yeah, I just remembered because in The Sims 3 I did do stop motion videos back in The Sims 3 days. And I just find it really ironic how the community has basically just evolved backwards, devolved, if that's a thing. Yeah, because I remember back then speed builds would get so much views, but now I feel like, you know, the community has been taken over by stop motion builds, which is the exact same situation as The Sims 3. So I guess the world has gone full circle at this point. Maybe it's also an indication that The Sims 4's lifespan is gonna end. Maybe not. Because definitely towards the end of The Sims 3 is when we saw a lot of stop motion builds. So that's really interesting. I would like to see more from The Sims 4 actually. I have grown to love this game so much more now than when it first came out, so I would like to see more from it. Other than spiral staircases though, I don't know what else they could probably add to it. Maybe resorts, because I've also heard a little bit of gossip about that. And what else? I don't know. I would love to have like a zoo expansion, or like actually a safari one would be amazing. I'm still waiting for that African setting, right? Like I would love to have like an African neighborhood. Still waiting for that, EA. But a safari pack would be so amazing actually. Yeah. Anyway, this is the bathroom. Pretty simple, nothing too crazy, but back then you probably just saw a couple of minutes ago, I put one of those ducts into the kitchen and they just look so good, and I feel like they really complete the look. Also, by the way, I just randomly thought about this, but now that we have ducts, which are basically a prominent ceiling feature, I wouldn't be surprised if they patched in ceiling tools. That would be so amazing. And you know, the superstitious person in me is, or maybe not superstitious, but maybe more conspiracy theorist in me, you know, just kind of thinks that ducts are kind of like a foreshadowing for that. I don't know. I love these kinds of, you know, mystery-esque things that we always find in The Sims 4. Obviously, we won't know for sure until they give it to us eventually, hopefully. But yeah, I would love to have ceilings actually, now that I think about it. I do make a lot of ceiling details in my builds anyway, so whether or not we get them isn't gonna change how I build. It's probably gonna make life easier though for me, because I do love ceilings and just basically creating 3D space in my builds. And yeah, lastly, we are just putting in some decorations on the outside over here. So yeah, pretty standard at this point for me. I have done this so many times in other builds here inside my Shuno, but I just love how now we have these decorative buildings, because I really hate having to pay extra for, you know, the lot price just to have like decorative buildings. You get what I mean? I'm sorry if I'm not really, you know, translating my commentary as well as I would like to. It's been a while. I've been really busy actually, so it took me a while to actually finish this, because I have been really busy dealing with IRL stuff, mostly work related stuff actually, that I don't want to get into at the moment. But yeah, I'm out of practice with my commentary is what I'm trying to say. So hopefully I can get back into building, because I do have plans for September, because it is the 7th anniversary of The Sims 4, and I'm really crossing my fingers that I have time to do everything I want to. Also, I've been working on this Japanese farmhouse. I've talked about this in my last build as well, but I've been working on that one since forever. It's probably been an ongoing build for like a month, and I really want to finish it. So probably going to work on that after I get this one up as well. So that's a little update for you all who are interested to know what I've been up to recently. But having said that, I think that's going to be it for this build actually. So yeah, I just want to thank you all so much for watching. I hope you all enjoyed this video, and yeah, hope you all enjoyed the spiral staircase as well. That should be up on the gallery when this build gets up as well. So thank you so much for watching. You all have an awesome day. Enjoy the rest of the video, and I will see you guys next time. Bye bye.